So what we're going to do here is take a look at OIM 14C. We got VirtualBox running. I got a 14C VM that's sitting here. So we have that going, and we have an application that we're using for self-service. This is using all of the new REST APIs. Well, they're not new, but we're using them for 14C as opposed to the old SDK. We want to see if we can completely eliminate using that thing and put a front end on it. So what we're doing is we're using the JWT tokens to authenticate users. And we're also using CursorAI for our primary development environment. Well, that's actually not true. We're using CursorAI to do the development, and then we're using NetBeans as our actual development environment. So in order to keep an eye on what this guy is doing, I usually have everything open in NetBeans at the same time. So any changes going on over here, I can see what's happening in here on, as it's happening. Because sometimes you got to put a cage around this dude. It just goes absolutely bonkers. So you better make sure you have your stuff in Git before any iteration of code changes you're requesting from Mr. Claude here. So, all right, let's get to it. Yeah, right. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to log in as sysadmin. If I can type today. It is Sunday. Alrighty. Let's see what users we have here. I imported a bunch of users with the flat file connector, so let's pick somebody. Let's see if they have any roles. No. No entitlements. They might have accounts, let's say. No. All right. All right, so let's get their user ID here. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to reset their password from here. All right, we got the policy on. So we'll just use something simple that meets the policy. Okay, that user is now password changed. So let's go over here to our app and let's log this user out. Okay, now we want to log this other user in. Okay, so we're going to log in as this guy using the new password. All right, so this is the front end we're using, or we created using the REST APIs. So this code is using a combination of the REST APIs and occasionally some straight database queries only because they're faster. This app also has the ability to generate user IDs, so we're using SQL to hit the user table to do unique checks, and we're also doing it in a synchronized manner. The formula for generating them is built into the code for how I'm doing it. Okay, so let's take a look. So we can look at the user information. Yep, that's the person we were just looking at. We can make changes here. I'm not sure I've tested too much of that yet. So right now we're just taking a look at what we can do easily. All right, so we can see what they have access to. They have one role. Of course, it's the default all users role. No pending roles, which means there's no requests, no applications, and no entitlements. Here we can see if there's any requests, and then we can make requests for others, or we can request access for ourselves. So let's do that. All right, let's search for a role. Okay, let's pick this one. All right, justification. And we got one role here in the cart. Okay, we could add these other ones to the cart if we want. So let's submit the request. Okay, and there's our request ID. All right, now we can go over here and view our requests. We can see it's waiting. If we want, we can withdraw the request. And here we can view the request. Okay, so now what we want to do is bounce back over here as the sysadministrator, and we should see something come up here in the self-service that we have a pending approval maybe. There we go. All right, now the request is, these are manual tasks. I'm still not sure why these things are coming up. I'm also noticing a bug where OIM will go into a crazy loop if I try to do a SOA lookup on this here. So I got to figure out what's going on with that. So right now the logs are going crazy. But if I close it, it stops, and then I can go here and I can just complete the request. Okay, so that's done. Now we can go back here. That should go away. Now we have the approval. Let's take a look at that. Okay, this has the same problem actually. I'm going to look into this eventually. I just noticed it the other day. It was working fine a couple weeks ago. I don't know what happened. So, okay, the approvals are done. I think there's going to be another one come up now. Nope. Okay, so let's see what happened over here. Request completed. Okay, approved. So if I go back in here, I should see what my access is. I have the 2 roles. Okay, excellent. So that part's working. Right now we're using the default OIM request approval stuff. Eventually we'll plug in a custom one to do some really neat SOA stuff, but for now we're just seeing if we can get the basics working. So this was just a quick demo on the simplest aspect of this app. All right, so we're going to do requests for others next, and eventually we're going to add a section here where you'll be able to not only withdraw, but if you have any pending approvals yourself, you'll be able to approve them or reject them here instead of going into OIM to do it. And then we'll set up something to where it's not going to XCL ADM, but to a manager or something. But anyway, this is what you can do with using the REST APIs with 14C and a little bit of help from Claude using CursorAI and NetBeans. That's it, folks.